On this episode of the Leadership Hustle, we're going to talk about that high performer that is costing you more than you know. Hello, and welcome to the Leadership Hustle for executives whose companies are growing fast and need leaders who are ready. Hi there, and welcome back to this episode of the Leadership Hustle. I'm Andrea Fredrickson, one of the hosts, and I'm joined with Michelle Hill.
Hello.
And so we are promoting this podcast as a one of the culture podcasts that we're working toward. But I also wanted to recognize that by the time this episode launches in early 2026, Michelle will have been with me for over 21 years. Like, that'll be like crazy,
that
right?
That is crazy.
Because I think about the January, February timeframe, and I'm always reminded of like, oh my gosh.
I'm like your child that you can identify age with.
I just appreciate.
I'm not. I mean, we're too close in age for that.
We're so no. I get the fact that we've grown up together.
Yes.
When we've done this for the majority of the time that Revela's been in existence, and so legal partner or actual partner related to what we do. We spent the morning together working on a bunch of projects for 2026. And so it's been really, really fun. And I just wanted you to know this is pretty cool. So appreciate that. But that's part of our culture, right? That we're always learning and we're always trying new things and we're putting some things together. This does not apply to our business. The topic is that, every CEO I talk to, every CEO I talk to has that person that they protect. So stop and think, who are you protecting? And whether you're a CEO or other executive or a leader in some way, shape, or form in your organization, who are you protecting? And when you protect them, are you protecting them because they are a person who's been with your company since the begining, which, that sometimes happens, especially in a startup business that's been around for less than 20 years. There's
that.
I'm loyal to this person that, the company may have outgrown them, but they're still here and they're on the payroll and maybe they're trying, but right?
Yes.
But more often than not, we hear of a person that the leader considers a high performer.
Yes.
And they're being protected. So let's look at that. What is this myth of the high performer? And guys, because actually I wrote an article about this and I got all kinds of comments about this exact topic of the part of the myth.
The myth.
Yeah. So when you think about,
usually when you think of high, or when people talk about that high performer, they get results.
Whatever
role they're in, they get shit done. So that can, any title. Right. Whatever the responsibility is that they're sitting in, they get stuff done. I also think sometimes you might have, and I've heard this one actually probably more often than I realized until just recently, the connector, the one that has those outside relationships. They're well known in the community. I mean, obviously it all depends on your business model and stuff.
Yep.
But there are some organizations that that community recognition and those connections within the community, regardless of their physical or actual performance,
right? Because
they have all these connections, it levels them up. So that actually, it took me back quite a bit, actually.
Well, in
I'm
fact,
like, I can think of this.
Remember that?
I'm like, I remember this conversation.
Yep. And in fact, I could tell you, just in the last 2 weeks, I have heard people talk about the person they hired, and the reason they hired them is because, oh my gosh, they had all these connections and they thought these sales were going to happen, or that these relationships were going to be brought into the organization. And after a significant period of time, that was all talk. They may know these people, but do they know these people?
Yeah,
right?
and they may know them. They may know them, and they may get sales from them too. So that's the other flip. I mean, they very well, these connections very well could have a positive impact on your organization.
Absolutely.
100. So I mean, it could go either direction. Whether, because I've seen both, where they do produce results, and it's the results are as a result of who they know, and they're able to bring that in.
Yep.
But the consequences or impact is how they work with the team.
Mm-hmm. And there in and of itself is the myth, right? So they either have some relationship, or they have some special skill, or they have some special certification or knowledge, right? Mm-hmm. And the reality is how they go about
difficult positions to hire for. Yes.
Difficult positions to hire for.
Yeah, that's another one.
But how they go about it is not high performing. So there's the myth. They're not high performing because they don't have the whole bucket. They don't have the whole picture.
Correct. But there's a bias because through the leader, whoever is protecting them, that bias exists because of this. So they're justifying it all the time.
We're justifying. Well, they bring in relationships, or they bring in money, or they have this special skill and it's hard to hire for that.
Can't find that.
They have a special certification that no one else has. They've been around for...
We've gone 3 years without this, or whatever. That 3 years isn't true.
Right. But they are late, or they don't collaborate, or they're
short.
Disrespectful to other people. They
dump stuff and run.
They're passive aggressive. They're narcissistic. They're all these things that they are, but because they get the result, or because of
whatever result it is,
reason that they get that.
Yes.
So
how does that impact the teams? As we just kind of walked through, because we've had an earlier episode where we talk about what is culture, and culture is just how we work together and get things done. So now when you've got someone who is this exception,
they're being protected.
And most organizations have some sort of values, or they talk about, why it's great to work here, and this is how we work and stuff. They might not call it culture even. How does it impact everyone else? What happens?
So first and foremost, sorry, leader, but whoever you're accepting, whatever you're accepting, whoever you're excusing, everybody knows. Everybody's watching. Everybody sees all of that.
So true.
And you're not hiding it. And you think you're doing some great favor. And what you're doing is
you think you're doing a good thing.
Right. You're sacrificing the masses, in a sense, for this one individual.
Yes.
So this person is late to meetings, right? The person's late to meetings and late with their portfolio of information, and it's like, oh yeah, that's okay. That's just who that person is.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fine. Apparently dates don't matter, deadlines don't matter. We can drift.
Yeah, there's the drift.
Right?
It starts because people start noticing it. It's how they communicate that's probably one of the biggest ones when it comes to, because I'll hear people justifying that individual who is, they're the one that is protected, but they'll justify it because they're so busy getting this stuff done. So some of these things are not, like the lateness or whatever isn't as big of an issue necessarily. But it's what I hear about more often is this one person, the protected one. It's how they treat everyone else.
Oh, so much. Because whether or not they realize they're being protected, they do know they can get away with it.
Correct, because it's never addressed. And naturally, unconsciously, we push the boundaries. And so they're pushing and they're getting away with it. When I say getting away with it, is it that they're rewarded because...
They're getting away with it, so that is a reward, right?
It's a reward. It must not be a big deal. This must be okay.
Right. So there's a couple things that are affecting it. One is, if Michelle, you are my executive who's protecting another employee, and I have the guts to bring it to you, like, by the way, why is this getting to happen? And you protect them, you justify it. Mm-hmm. Doesn't make any difference. I don't need to bring stuff to you because you're not going to do anything about it anyway.
Oh, yeah, especially for peers, and it's my employee and my employees creating a lot of conflict with your employees, possibly even causing your employees to leave. Like, they physically tell you, I will not continue working with this person. I mean, I've seen where people are like, I've got to protect how he or she now has to go through me, then I distribute their work because I can't have them directly talking to my people because they are so rude. They're so
everything has to go up through, so it's triangulating.
And it's pulling people into doing more work to cover up. So you end up as the protector, almost at times, if tolerated, causing more work for your peers.
Or yourself.
Yeah, well, yeah, and yourself, for sure.
And the higher up the person that is being protected is, the bigger the ripple.
Well, yeah, because everything ripples across through the organization.
Right.
What's okay up here, people see and feel.
Right. So if I have a person in my senior executive team or my cabinet who is brilliant as far as their knowledge or their connections or their certification or their license that they bring, but they're asses to everybody else, and everybody's like, fine, we're gonna have to work around them. We have to work with them. We're only gonna tell them what they need to be because we don't want to deal with them. We're gonna make sure that we put everything in an email, and we'll probably copy.
We're so covering our ass.
Right, we are
so CYA.
So CYA. Everything is an email. Everything's copied or blind copied.
And that's a lot of extra work.
That's a lot of extra work.
We talk about a lot of time lost here.
And the other part is that you're going to notice that your team's like, you know what? I can't deal with this anymore. I mean, how many times have you had conversations? And I can think of a couple companies right now where we've had the conversation. This person is such an impact. It's like, I'm out.
Yeah, you lose your best people.
You lose your best people. And the senior person or the person who can do something about this is protecting one person. You're sacrificing the masses for this one person.
Which is the huge cost of it. When you get into what is the cost of it, it can be pretty big. Because it's losing, I mean, first you have an investment and these good people maybe have been doing a lot of really great things.
Right.
But then you also have the reputation because you damn well know they're telling people as well.
Right.
They tell us.
They do.
But they're telling their friends, their family, and maybe they are going out on social media and so forth as well. But because a lot of them, at least the ones that I can reflect back on and think through talking with them when they're really frustrated, is they were really good people. And
sometimes people really like them
and
as
they really
human
like
beings.
well, and yes, there are times they like them as a person. They don't like working with them because they're in a meeting and this person calls them out and questions, something, an expense and why their budget is here versus there, and but yet you can't question their budget. I mean, it just goes back and forth, and they get, they get. I've actually seen where it's really broken a person down, where they started second guessing their knowledge and started second guessing.
But nobody helps the person who's being interrogated or chastised.
Correct, because they get interrogated so bad,
right.
And they start, do I know what I'm talking about? Am I good at my job? And it's like, whoa, wait, what are you thinking this?
Right, and it happens at the senior level a lot.
A lot.
It also happens at the other levels of an organization. But it happens the protection happens for different reasons. Like if they leave, I have to cover for them, and I don't have the bandwidth to cover for them.
I've already lost 2 other people. I can't. Well, maybe you've lost 2 other people because of that person.
Right.
But
we might stop the bleeding.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. When the closer to the front line you get, there is that I can't lose another person. Well, they're the reason you're losing the people.
Right. And so I don't want this to be only the senior level.
No, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And so the question that we want to ask you, listener, is, what behaviors are you currently excusing because you have what you perceive, call them a high performer, but you have someone that you think is performing really, really well or is very difficult to replace, or you don't have the bandwidth to cover for. Who are you protecting? Because I have never once seen when that person is removed or their behavior is corrected, if they can correct it, but when the behavior changes or the person changes, that the elevation of the team is significant. Significant. So morale goes up.
People have literally said
up.
It feels like a weight is just, and they work so much different. They work so much better. Trust is starting, like instantly almost.
Finally, you did something.
Yes, and then they start trusting and believing that leader more, and they start feeling a little safer, and it's that positive ripple effect.
And recognize when you are not doing something about this, when you are protecting, you are creating the reputation as a leader who doesn't address issues. That's what you are creating, is your reputation. So if that's the reputation you want, and you want the results that are happening because of who you're protecting, continue with the process. If not, I want you to think about, who are you protecting? What is it costing you? What is it costing your team? What's it costing your company? Because the number is almost immeasurable.
Well, and I'd even challenge to go look, what are you not noticing? Because you're protecting them, right? So you have a bias and there's a ripple effect, that impact. And what are you not noticing?
Good call. Good call. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Leadership Hustle. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode.